But first, we're talking health news tonight.
Yeah, understanding the signs and symptoms. Pain comes in many different forms, but a local cardiologist stresses the importance of listening to those signs. It could save your life.
Yeah, and one Siouxland resident shares his experience, the symptoms he felt, and the life-saving care he received from Unity Point Health. It's tonight's Healthbeat 4.
I was doing construction that day. I was helping a friend of mine build a 3-season porch.
A normal hot June afternoon, Robert Risdahl recalls starting to feel tired and ended the workday early.
Went home, took a nap for about a half hour, woke up, chest pains. I just kind of figured I'd put a rib out. That's kind of typical. My wife was really concerned. I was being stubborn. So we called EMS.
In a matter of minutes, Risdahl was treated by emergency medical services team members.
They were there within just like 2 minutes. And within an hour, I was waking up and being told I had 2 stents.
We're blessed to have a very, very strong EMS program here locally and in the community and regionally. And they were able to diagnose in his home that he was having a heart attack.
EMS gave the appropriate care and medications to Risdahl en route to the hospital, preparing him for the medical team awaiting his arrival at Unity Point Health.
And we saw him, met him at the door, confirmed what was going on. He actually was doing much better when he got here. But with the EKG changes and the chest pain, we decided he should go to the cath lab immediately. Interventional
cardiologist Dr. Jerome Pearson says contrast was injected, and through x-ray, they were able to determine there was a blocked artery and the severity of that blockage.
In his case, we did a couple of stents in a couple of areas in that artery and got good results.
His case wasn't uncommon, although Dr. Pearson says the warning signs vary from person to person.
A lot of people are different, you know, how they describe pain, how they feel pain. We tell people the elephant sitting on the chest, and a lot of people don't have that. They'll have discomfort in their arm. They may have throat tightness.
You could also feel a heaviness or squeezing sensation.
So everybody perceives it differently, but usually if it's in the chest and it's not getting better, if you're getting shortness of breath or lightheadedness or palpitations, those are all warning signs that you should get in and get checked.
Thankful for the help he received navigating through his health journey and recovery.
Seriously, man, thank you. You're quite welcome. It's my honor.
Risdahl recommends you pay attention to any warning signs.
If you have some pains, things aren't really the way they should be, and your normal stuff is not rectifying it or whatever, just pick up the phone. Call an ambulance, call 911.